Hey, how's it going? It's man tomorrow here. I want to thank y'all for coming through. The newest direction that I'm taking in my channel with this particular series, I guess I should have numbered it. It's called Because I Never Made It. And you have to understand that within society and in life, that there's going to be a lot of people who is going to pretend like they're something that they're not because they haven't made it. So you have to understand that the reason why you have so many people kind of trapped within this position that we have right now is just because a lot of people just haven't clearly made it. Not yet. I like the video mom coming in. I'm not sure why my notifications ain't going out, but that's them. I'm not going to be able to argue with them about their system, but that's the way that's going to work. So what you guys have to realize is that a lot of these people are here to ensure that you don't make it past them. That's why they're here. That's the sole reason why they're here, to make sure that you don't move past them. This is why they want to make sure and ensure that you go through all the same stuff that they actually went through. So that way you never make it. But see, here's the thing. This type of series, I'm giving you back time because you don't have time to wait till you're 40 something years old to try to do YouTube after you done failed in life at everything else. So you need to make sure that you take this stuff seriously because it isn't about just watching. It's about putting this stuff into actual use within your life. Because right now you have a 400-pound block on your chest, and you're going to have to, through this information that I'm giving you, remove this 400-pound block off your chest and start operating like a normal individual without all this stuff so-called mattering around here. So you have to understand that first and foremost that these people think this cage that they're in is their entire world, is the entire world. They don't realize that they're in a very small, very cyclical level of failure that is extremely predictable. So predictable that you can set a watch or a clock to it. And they actually think that they can change those circumstances to which they are by feeding themselves in a repeated motion using the same level of reapplication in the same format that everybody can be able to see. That's how that works. So you have to realize that these people have had children that they can't raise. A lot of these people cannot even survive themselves. And it's now to the point to where it's so easy for them to miss the well-being of others when they're soul searching themselves. You know, there should be a level of people who've already looked through this information and who have this information to kind of pass down to other people within the environment. But when you have people in the environment who are so far behind, one and two generations, in fact, now you have this kind of bottleneck at the bottom where everybody is trying to get over on everybody and where everybody is fighting over the same scraps within the same entire environment. And acting like you're winning within the environment is actually something that's pretty good within the environment for those specific people. So what you got to realize at this point is that I'm just merely having a conversation as if you've already left this stuff alone. As if you already left this stuff alone and you're trying to teach somebody else how to leave this stuff alone. Because this is a level of conversation that is not had within the manosphere for a very specific reason. Because they never made it. They still trying to make it right now. They're still trying to figure it out right now. So why don't I have a conversation as if you've already left this stuff alone? That's the standpoint. That's the presuppositional argument of this conversation. So you have to realize that once you left this stuff alone, once you concentrate on the things that you need to concentrate on, not trying to find a way for those things to sneak back into your life, you're going to realize that a lot of people are fighting for socialized acceptance of failure because that is where they are. Like I said, you've already left this stuff alone, and you're going to be seeing this repeated system over and over again within the same environment. So, what you're going to see is that you're going to have a lot of people fight for socialized acceptance of failure. And it's going to be from 50-year-olds to 60-year-olds still justifying um, feminine behavior within the environment when they can clearly leave these women alone, especially the bad ones. You're going to have a lot of things that are going on within this environment. So I like the video more coming in. I see some people are following in. So you're going to have to realize that it's going to be a lot of implausible people who's trying to make it look like plausible deniability is some type of a cultural construct. So what they're going to do is they're going to try to keep getting themselves into predictable problems and then trying to shift the blame to other people that has nothing to do with the end result, the path, or the circumstances to which they are in. And the reason why they keep doing this stuff within this environment, because they got to prove to themselves that there's no consequence for their actions within the actual environment. And the reason why they do this stuff is because they never made it. So you have to understand that once you have this level of arrested development around you that you're going to see being exhibited on a nearly daily basis, you're going to see people operating from a level of perceived coolness that is accepted by everybody within the environment versus the operational coolness of having everything under control. The previous is what happens when you've never made it. The latter is what happened after you get your stuff together, which is totally possible. But you have to leave the old stuff alone in order for you to get to the good life. Because you get better versions of the stuff that you think is good once you make it. And if you haven't made it, you have to justify your position at the bottom when you haven't made it. You have to make the bottom look alluring. You have to make being stuck feel worthwhile. Those are the things that you're going to see within the society and environment. It's really not that hard, but like I said, we're having this conversation if you've already left it alone. Operational coolness is whenever you've applied yourself to your career and life to where you've already left all the previous stuff alone. And you're going to keep seeing people in their 30s, 40s, even 50s going through the same thing over and over again, trying to recapture the coolness of high school. You have to understand high school was a pretty much a time where nobody had any type of control for the most part. Most people weren't producing. Everything was pretty much surface level, and trolling and ranking and all this kind of idiotic stuff became the actual standard to which people operated from within the society and environment. Because nothing was at stake in high school. No one was thinking about college all that much in high school. Nobody was thinking about the outcomes in life and how to produce in high school. So if they can recreate the high school experience without any of the consequences associated with real life, you're going to see that people are pretty much stuck there. And they're going to try to pass the stuff off as if it's real experience when it's actually real failure. This is something what I call freezing the manager special. I don't have to explain to you. Everybody's been to a supermarket where they see the produce or even some of the meat that is exactly going to be expiring the day that you're actually in there or a couple of days after you've perceived to have bought it. But these people want to freeze the manager special. And once they thaw out the manager special in the future, they want the manager special to kind of function like something that's totally fresh within the environment. So this is why these people limit themselves to circumstances that they know they're never going to get out of, but they want to look at it from the freezing the manager's special perspective to where it's always fresh to them because they already got something, even if it's unworthwhile within the environment. And they do this stuff because they haven't made it. If you made it, you would have left all this stuff alone already. You would already learn the lessons from these things within the actual society and environment. You would have already done that. So you're going to realize that these people, from what I just explained, now they want to team up. You have to understand that when people want to team up in society and environment, they should be bringing something to the table other than a one-sided benefit in their favor, where you have to provide everything for their well-being on their behalf. This isn't something that you should actually be operating from, but this is exactly what you have in the actual situation because they have this preconceived notion that they're going to remain in high school until you get your stuff together. And then, without even being invested in the actual result, they're going to join your team. And not only are they going to join your team, they're going to want a management position on your team because they're them and you're you. So that way they deserve it a hell of a lot more than you do, even though they have put 0% investment in the actual process that they're trying to get a hold of. You have to understand that these people are invested in the outcome. Short or long term, you never know what it is because with these people, they always have some ulterior motive. They're just never going to let you know that. So you're going to understand that once you start moving up the ladder, there's going to be a lot of people who want to fake like they're at the level that they currently are at, or even higher than that. So you have to understand that on this team, no matter where you're at, they actually outrank you on this team that you're on and that you created because they're them and you're you. And that they're more deserving of your life, even though you've invested all the time into it to get a specific outcome. That outcome is to be usurped and put into their hands for their actual result within the environment. That's why they want to team up. They want to team up because they never made it. And so since they are zero, they want to team up with a person who is 100% or want to hide behind 10 other people who are 100% so that way they can bring all those people down to 90% because you're all the same, right? And we're not supposed to be quote unquote judging each other, even though team members of a team have specific jobs. They look at it as I should be a part of this team with no investment. Those are just some of the ways that those things work. And if you can't say no to bad circumstances at the lower levels, you're never going to make it to the higher levels of things because there should be minimum standards no matter where you are. These things are vitally important for your overall growth as a human being, and especially if you want to go into being a manager or even owning a business. But see, a lot of people don't see these things because they never made it. What's going on, Great Britain? And you have to understand that these people's only contribution is to want to be a part of your team without providing any real value to the face forward customer or to the actual team members that they're actually with. And they want to leverage your ability to want a good result versus them just wanting to be on the team without any investment. And you have to understand that their only contribution to being on the team is just being on the team without a position. It's kind of like trying to be like a fourth or fifth string kicker in the NFL. They don't even staff positions like that. But this is the type of positions that they actually want within your organization. And they want to be compensated like a CEO as well, even though they don't have CEO ability. You also have to understand that these people's contribution is not bringing any type of expertise to the table. You're supposed to bring them on and waste time training them up to speed so that way they don't ruin your company while they're there. And when you invite some of these destructive members that are not supposed to be part of your team because you couldn't say no to your actual team, they sow a lot of division within the actual organization than the benefit to the actual customers. And what a lot of people are seeing right now is they can't really handle the simple fact that they're at home. Because right now, productivity is through the roof with all companies, not just mine. And a lot of these people, without the work environment being able to shield them from all the nonsense that they bring to an actual work environment, now they have to actually just have to produce for production's sake. And a lot of people don't have the ability to produce, period. This is why they want to hide behind other productive people and bring a whole lot of nonsense to the table because they themselves have never made it. They're still faking normal. They're still not bringing any value. And if they have to cannibalize or run off good employees of the company to keep their particular place at the company, that is something that they would do. So for the next thing we're going to, you have to understand that most of these people never made it. It's because of their reckless abuse of choice. Of all the things that happen within this environment and things that they try to socialize everywhere else, it's still a choice whether or not you want to put up with it or not. It's still a choice. Now they want to socialize choice away from you because this is how other people gain control over you in the society and the environment. But this is how these things go. As a man, you don't need a whole lot of things to survive, which means you should be having a lot of time to be competent at whatever you are actually engaging in. What's going on, Rocky? And what's going on, Black Curls? But this is currently where we are within the society and environment because a lot of people within Black America have been needing the acceptance of people within the environment for so long that they don't realize that that overall acceptance by the time that they get it are not really worth having, even if they had it back in the day when they actually needed it. This is why the self-esteem piece is connected to the self-improvement piece. Because for some reason, we got a lot of people who's trying to socialize you into thinking, but there still is a choice on your part that you're supposed to be getting human-based treatment within the environment the moment you give all of your best to somebody who don't respect you at no point in time within the environment. Because this environment is ran off male usury and one-sided female benefit. That's what game is about. Game is about making sure that the woman gets everything that she wants at the expense of the man maybe getting sexual activity, which is pretty dumb. But at the end of the day, it's still a choice of whether or whether or not you want to engage in such a system. You have to understand how powerful choice is. And because they never made it, they never had a period of time in life where they've achieved financial freedom. Never had the time in life where they achieved time equity freedom. They never had a chance in life to achieve moving up the ladder within whatever career field that they're in. They never achieved that because they never made it. And they never got started because they were too busy trying to scam and gladhead the system all the way to success. Because I'm not going to lie, lying to people is easy. Pretending that you're something that you're not is easy. It requires no time investment at all. And it always requires you to be on the hunt for weak people within the environment who wants to believe nonsense. This is why this is very important that you get this stuff rolling and you keep this stuff going without these people around. Because if you do not, you will stay down there with them. And they're not going to let you rise above their actual level of respect. This is why the people at the bottom want the most respect. And as you go up, you really can give a damn less about anybody's respect unless they're pretty much tied to your actual business. Because the only thing you're supposed to be respecting is a track record, a path, and an outcome, not intentions. So when you used to think on an emotional basis and level, you kept thinking about how is the woman going to benefit. I have to make sure that I include the way she thinks in my overall activity and the things that I justify within the environment. When you can clearly just act on your own accord, and if she's going to follow, then that's just going to be the way it is. Because a lot of these people within the society and environment have not mastered the art of being by themselves. They haven't mastered that art. They think that their life is pretty much more worth living once they got a whole bunch of people around them, regardless of what type of value that they bring to your life. But I'm telling you up front that the greatest and the most obvious growth happens while you're by yourself. If you're not going to get the small decisions right, you're never going to make it to the big decisions. And if you keep mortgaging your masculinity for feminine compliance, you also are never going to make it. Because remember, you left this stuff alone. So once you start moving up, the women get way prettier, but they're way more devious and all this other stuff. So if you left this stuff alone, you have to keep it left alone. You don't reinsert yourself back into these circumstances. You don't keep reinserting yourself back into these circumstances with quote unquote new information. That's not how that works. It's not going to work out for you. Because the further you go up, the more disciplined you got to be, and the harder the falls are, and the harder it is to recover. This is why a lot of those people kind of stay at the bottom. What's going on, Craig, tech guy? A lot of those people stay at the bottom because there's nothing to risk at the bottom. There's nothing to risk. And you have to realize it. A lot of these people are comfortable within these environments because they never made it. So they need to be surrounded by a whole lot more other people who have also not made it. So that way they can feel comfortable about where they are. And a reckless abuse of choice while trying to treat it like it's something cultural or something that's unchanging when it's actually their responsibility within the environment. That's a problem that these people go through. And it's something that you don't need to be exercising, but you're going to see it over and over again. Thanks for the $5 super chat, Renaissance man. Uh, Great chat, dropping a lot of wisdom on the street. Yeah, because we got to have the conversation as if you left the stuff alone, but the things that you're going to witness once you do leave this stuff alone, you're going to see a hell of a lot more failure than you can ever imagine the moment you start giving a damn about outcomes. That's when you're going to start seeing a hell of a lot of failure. Once you start giving a damn about outcomes, once you start noticing how the system works, once you start noticing the path and the track record and what's plausible and not plausible and what actually leads to success and what don't within the environment. You don't have time for people who act like everything is considered. You have to be very measured whenever you're dealing with things within the actual environment because you're trying to get to a specific outcome. So if you don't have the ability to say no, which you're already past, this new level of where you're at now, you're going to have to say no even more often. Because remember, you got here by being disciplined. You can undo this progress in a heartbeat or a quarter if you invest in the wrong thing. Time, energy, money, etc. But the people at the bottom, they have to consider everything. The reason why they have to consider everything is because they're looking for a shot and a chance no matter how it comes to them. They don't care about who they have to cannibalize to move forward. They don't care about having to maintain relationships because they're not trying to maintain anything. They're just trying to survive to the next meal. And surviving to the next meal revolves around not caring about the consequences of one's actions. This is why you got to be very measured when you're actually dealing with people within your environment that you built. It should be a high bar for your presence for people within the environment to where you're at. You shouldn't just be throwing your presence everywhere unless your presence is worth nothing. Again, since you already passed this and you already cleared up your thinking, these are the type of things you're going to have to keep under control going forward. What's going on, Timothy Johnson? What's going on, Howard Cooper? Don't think I've seen you around here before. What's going on? What's going on, woman in the past? And a lot of things you're going to have to look at very closely. And part of this path is being able to accept loss. What's going on, Brown Bird? Now, because they never made it, because they never risked anything, they never lost anything. It's kind of like a lose-lose situation. You don't move anywhere and you don't go anywhere, but you expect everything. And it's kind of like a cultural thing. It kind of catches on and it gets deep down within your psyche. And next thing you know, you have this ability to think that you ought to be consulted on everything, checked in on some of the things that you're not even qualified to talk about. And that can't be further from the case. You're going to have to understand that when you start to move up, you're going to have a lot of losses. Some losses you can control, but a lot of them you can't. You can't control the loss of a very good employee. You can't control the loss of anything like that. No matter what that person is hired on within your actual company. What's going on? GJ Side 1965. But it's You have to realize that people are in and at your company for a very specific thing. There's going to be a lot of people who cycle within your business and out of your business for whatever reason. You can't hold people in a position to where they don't need to be. This is why you develop systems of success rather than just trying to depend on successful people for success. No matter what you're running, it still needs to be a top down operation. But at the end of the day, you still need the ability to be able to bring people from the bottom to the top. You need to have the ability to do so, not that you need to engage in actually doing so. Because there's going to be people that you run across are so good at one thing that you can easily bring them up to the next level. This is why developing people is also a skill that you're going to need to do. But because they never made it, they don't want to harness the ability to create. They only have harnessed the ability to destroy. Anybody can destroy or disrupt an actual work environment. It takes specialized people to run things in a specialized way. But those specialized people in a specialized way still needs a good mission in order to operate. Me, my personal philosophy, I believe in the philosophy of good. If you hire good people, you give them a good mission, and you pay them good wages, you're going to get a good result. That's my intention. But the philosophy of good only works for good people with good intentions. And if they don't have good intentions, they're going to show me through their actions that they don't have good intentions. Or they try to look at it as if it's an opportunity for them to try to put themselves on in a way that they don't need to. One thing you need to say to yourself to stop people from actually stealing a whole bunch of your time and trying to put themselves on in your stuff, you need to tell yourself the following thing. And you need to tell yourself the stuff every day. Every day when you wake up, you need to say, you know what? They had their chance and I'm just getting started. They had their chance and I'm just getting started. There's nothing wrong with noticing that you are not where you need to be. That's where the greatest growth happens. The moment that you start being realistic and honest with yourself about what you don't know how to do, what kind of skills you got, and how you actually measure up within the environment. Once you stop dropping these ridiculous notions about people not really quote unquote liking you when you just don't got the skill set to be able to make it within the environment. What's going on, Mr. Pumping Down? I mean, it's something that you have to tell yourself because a lot of this stuff happens from an internal basis. You can't wait for external people on a nonprofit basis to give you self-esteem. The only thing those people are going to do is they're going to take your misguided actions or your misguided attempts at trying to make a shortcut out of something, and they're going to turn you on to a system where they're going to repeatedly need your help. You always need to reserve the right to walk and leave. You also need to reserve the right to check out people's information. You also need to reserve the right to call in reinforcements. All of this stuff is important. And you need to understand while you're not actually physically doing some jobs, you need to understand the path and the skill set that it takes to get certain jobs and positions. So that way you can understand whether or not you're being BS by somebody who claim they can do something under a certain set of circumstances versus a person who can definitely do it under those circumstances. I hear one of my aunts complain all the time about how nurses get into a certain organization. They say all this stuff, but they get into an organization and then they decide what parts of the job, their main job, that they don't want to do. And you need to be able to understand the actual scope of position before you start adding people to your team. So that way you're not adding 2 and 3 people for a job that could clearly be done by one person. This is why you have to understand the path of investment. Most of these people, you have to look at them through a lens like a time lapse camera. You got to be able to see, am I going to be able to use this person in this organization, in this particular thing? No. Yes, no. You're going to have to say no a hell of a lot more than you say yes. If you keep saying yes more than you say no, you will end up failing and failing hard. But see, I don't want you to do that. And we already know that we're past that. So we're just going to move to the next point. You need to be able to make the best case for yourself. If you don't know how to speak in public, then you need to go out there and fail at public speaking. If you feel like you can't interview right, then you need to go in front of people and get that straightened out. Because if you cannot make the case for yourself for the actual skills that you actually have amassed, no one else is going to make that case for you. You're not going to have a representative for you walk in and say all these great things about you. You're going to have to be able to go out there by yourself and be able to explain this stuff on your own behalf. Because putting this stuff in other people's hands is not a good idea. They could be going for the same thing that you're going for, or have an angle to go for the same things that you're going for. Do you really want to leave it up to somebody else that you don't know to put in the best word for you? No. Your thoughts, your words, your actions need to all go through it by itself. What's going on, Judge Dre? All this stuff is important. But because they never made it, they're not going to tell you this stuff. I can't tell you how many younger dudes I talk to, not any more than 22 years old, have realized that they have not been raised to actually produce within the actual environment, and they just want simple information on how to get it started or how to move to the next level. I'm like, man, look, contacting me is probably the first step to do it. Now you just got to be honest with yourself about how much time that you're not putting to good use preparing for the next level, no matter what that is. Some people disappear off the radar a year. MOT, look, man, I just graduated with this degree, or I just graduated with this certification. I couldn't believe it. I didn't even believe in myself. I didn't even believe that this was possible. I thought that I was so far behind that I could not keep up. I'm like, no. Actually, noticing that you're behind is part of the growth process. And now that you do know that, now you're going to work even harder because it takes a lot of discipline, because there's a lot of things that will throw you off your actual guard within the environment. Now you got to be able to operate like a professional whenever you go through these things. And because you kept your stuff together, right? And you don't need to check the check mark box and explain that to every single prospective person that you come into for employment, right? It's very easy when you got the skills that somebody need to just walk in there, present well, and get the job. But then I let these people know that getting a job is not all what it's about. This ain't the 1980s. You need to figure out, once you get the job, how to be a competent employee. How to be a competent employee, how to run an actual organization. How to run an actual organization, to doing some 1099 work on the side while still working at a corporation building your skill set. After a couple years from doing that, now you're over on the 1099 side as a contractor working for somebody. You go from a contractor to forming an actual company to hiring like-minded and like-skilled people so that way you can get a specific result, paying those people a lot of money to get those results. It's not about getting a job. It's about being a competent employee and turning your competent employeeship into an actual business for yourself. That's what it's about. It's going to feel easy, but you have to be mindful of the fact that you still got some improving to do, and there's still some steps on this ladder that you need to get done. Then you have to realize in these certain circumstances that you're either on the menu or you're sitting at the table. There's no two ways about that. Do you want to be the person who's on the menu waiting to be chose, or do you want to be in the driver's seat, the person with the menu in hand deciding what piece of this to put where? You gotta want to be in charge of stuff, man. You gotta want to run stuff. You gotta want to move up. And how it's not gonna work is doing the bare minimum at work. That's not how that works. You need to understand how things work so you can move up where you are. You have to turn this into something else. So what you have to realize is that this is the path that you need to be on. This is the path that you need to be working towards. This is why it's vitally important that you decide what you want to get into and for how long, just so long as it's moving toward this specific situation. I was on that path when I was in IT. And then mom got sick with cancer, ended up dying a couple years later, and I just started doing this and I liked it. And I quickly moved into exactly what I said I was going to move into. There were some bumps and bruises along the path, but guess what, man? I put all 100% in. I was all the way invested into one thing. And once I got my stuff together in one area completely, then I had the time equity to look at other things. Then I had the time equity to go and look back at all the other things that I thought that I was missing out on once I had one thing together. That's something that you're actually going to have to make sure that this stuff works for you. But again, because they never made it, they're never going to give you this information. That supervisor at your job who likes the fact that you're doing a good job, they're not going to tell you this information. This is something that you have to carry into the work environment. You have to be able to see the end of where you want to be. Hey, we're still back. We're still here. Put one in the chat if you can hear me. Mm. All right. Yeah, just had an incoming phone call. These people know I'm online, man. I don't see why people just call me while I'm online. That stuff's weird, man. Yeah, but this is where we at, man. But you're either on the menu or you're sitting at the table. And the person who's holding the menu got the most options. You need to be able to maximize options. This is what you're supposed to. The land of restriction isn't supposed to be for you. The land of restrictions are supposed to be for the people who are not accomplished. You need to be more accomplished within the area that you're in. But see, you got to be able to focus in order to do that. You can't spread your resources too thin out here by having multiple hustles, multiple times, and multiple things. And man, just concentrate on one or two things. So that way you can make sure that this stuff works out. Because those other people never made it for a reason. Because they kept trying to make sure that that stuff works out for you. Because we already got enough failed people out here already. What's going on, Doc Phoenix? Well, you got to see the reason why. The reason why is because they're not around people who've actually have made it out of those circumstances. And the stuff that they see and the stuff that they practice become their actual outcome. While this stuff is still a choice on their behalf, most of these people were really taught to actually mock and ridicule the actual people who they actually need to become in life. They've been taught to hate or disrespect or disregard those people in life. And then they expect chances from those same people who've invested the majority of their life on one thing. One of the last things I'm going to talk about on this list is they never made it because of the restrictions to, and they were defined by the worst circumstances. And they keep wanting to do the same things over and over again and be defined by the simple fact that they haven't faced consequences for the current path that they're actually on. You need to realize that you really don't have time to be doing all that within this society and this environment. Because again, you learned all this lesson already. I'm just trying to help you pass this message along to somebody else who you know who need this help and this information. And the final thing is, it all matters at the end. When I was in Watkins Glen, I think early last year, when you're there, you're staying at the hotel. There's a place that does a cruise across from it, and I forget what the body of water is, but you can go around that body of water, right? And I didn't know that that was one of like the last days that that guy was on the planet, man. He was out there just enjoying it, taking it in. And what that guy said, that dude wish he had more time. More time to fail, more time to say hello to kids, more time. He spent his whole time working one job, a union job. And he had like, I think like some form of cancer or something like that. But yeah, man, you need to be defined by the chances that you take, not the time that you waste. If you feel like you wasted a lot of time, then today need to be the last time that you waste time. Start seeking the help that you actually need in the actual field that you're actually trying to get in, and start moving in that direction, man. Because these consequences that people face here are going to be something that's their responsibility and choice. But you have to understand, man, you have to maximize choice early. So that way you're not waiting on chances later on. You get chances with choice. You don't get choice with chances. So I'm gonna drop the link in the chat if people want to come up. If not, I'm gonna get on up out of here. Hold on a second. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, this was motivated to me by a 19-year-old guy who asked me for some help, and he didn't realize why there were so many failures around him, and how come he could just simply go out and get a job, and how much better that he was about people within the environment, and it really made him feel bad about himself. I'm like, man, look, you can't be feeling bad on the behalf of people who haven't tried anything, man. You can't feel bad for them. You can't feel bad on their behalf. That's not your responsibility. And a dude who's 19, hey, you figured it out. You figured it all out already, all of it. Now you see how much time you need to put in, and to put in early, because you already see the perceptive results of the activities that are happening within the environment. What's going on Ralph's side? So there's really no need to be wasting a whole bunch of time if you already see what the actual consequences of not doing the thing that you need to do is going to be. They sure did, man. And when you a young dude in the situation, because there wasn't that many people at 19. Well, I was in the military, so I could definitely see the end goal of that. But a lot of people who are 19 years old, man, if they live in their parents' house, they got their little Xbox and their PlayStation going, they really don't see that nothing's really at stake, and their parents really don't push them all that much. But in some of those circumstances, those things are very hard to deal with. And I had to let this dude know where it's not his fault. It's definitely not his responsibility to be worried about those people, but the responsibility gets even heavier when you know that you have the chance to go out here and get things done. Hold on a second. Don't tell me I have a password on this damn thing. Hold on a second. Edit. Oh, okay. I guess it does work. Yeah, I'll wait till you change your name. Just speak once you change it.
Hey, what's up, MOT?
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on, man?
Not, not great, great chat. I just wanted to come up briefly. A lot of what you're saying, I just identify with. I've heard it. The big part where you were breaking out, essentially when you get a job, don't see that as the end all be all, because I've seen a lot of people in my career who they just have that mentality if they got a job and that was it. They never saw a vision for getting into leadership. And then even if they got into leadership, some of them never saw the vision of, trying to turn it into something of their own. I always came in with a different mentality. Just got through with a leadership development program, working on my master's right now. So working that path, but definitely trying to keep my mind open as far as, what I want to do down the road as far as, breaking out our own, because I think that's really the only thing we have that's a guarantee. And like you said, you got to be your biggest advocate. You can't wait for people to see the value in you or your work.
Oh, no doubt. What's going on, Rocky? I don't think I had you up here before. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing, MOT? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. It's your time to talk.
Well, I had been mentioning this, I think on like one or two panels. It's a lot of people in this space that kind of like mobilized me. I mean, I'm a vet. I have certain advantages over other people, but I had recently, for a certain amount of months, during COVID, kind of lost my focus. And, listening to guys like you and Zero, and even talking to Aegon and other people kind of like mobilized me to, and it kind of reminded me of one thing. It's like, if you're trying to do like a lot of big tasks, just break it down to the lowest common denominator and you just do that one thing, whatever the task is. Yeah, you got like, if you have a lot of tasks, if you got a few, you just, you break it down to I want to get in shape. Well, I started walking every day. Now I lost like 35 pounds in like 58 days, I wanted to get back in school. So I went ahead and enrolled, did all the steps I needed to do to get back in school. I wanted to make more income. So I got another job, start watching my diet and stuff. And all this is like, thanks to guys like you, Zero, Aegon, and a lot of other people kind of in that sector of the manosphere and stuff like that. So
yeah, man, that's what's up, man. Happy for your progress, man. Hope to get going for you. It's just that all this stuff is still on you, man. Like no matter what, man. Like I don't want you to go to being homeless twice, like in my situation, before you before you get it together, man. Yeah, because a lot of people don't understand, man, that you ain't gonna have a lot of chances to get up out of them situations, man. It's just not gonna be a lot of them.
Yeah. I'm definitely. It's crazy because I was watching a couple people here and there, but I was never really watching, and definitely never even coming on panels and things like that. Just occasionally chatting, and then I really got into it the last time I really lost focus, and I started finding, the corner that I'm talking about, like with, kind of like the people that are more like high energy, upwardly mobile, you know what I'm saying? Or just trying to get something going on, I mean, you're one of them. So it's like something, because, it's still a relatively large sector as far as like personalities, the manosphere, but then something, I guess, high energy was attracting me to certain content creators, and just because I can't really deal with low vibrational people, like people that talk a lot of smoke and mirrors, or like it's all very vague, like there's no real like purpose to like what someone is saying. So I ended up gravitating towards this side, And then I ended up starting to get my life back together, and I've been getting a lot of really good results lately.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Because you have to realize, like the real work is on you. It doesn't matter about the people who you listen to, or listening to them brag, or like. Look, I could easily put all my stuff out there, but what the hell is my success gonna help you on your own personal road and journey? You're gonna have to, because if you're not in actual transportation, I'm not sure how that's gonna be able to help people. And a lot of people don't get that you still got to do the work, man. You still have to, and it's incumbent on you to get started right away. Because once you start seeing the quick results yourself, you're not gonna want to really go back to stagnating, man.
Yeah, and what's crazy is even whether it's the sector of this space that I kind of naturally gravitated towards, or like my kind of tight circle of friends in real life, like everyone's doing really well right now. I mean, yeah, like the whole situation with the Rona and all that, but like everyone I know is still, like working from home, making good money. Like if anything, a lot of them got promoted and are doing better, at least professionally and, as far as like health and everything. So,
Yeah, no doubt. So it's just that a lot of people, whether they want to recognize it or not, man, they got an inordinate amount of power that they give away to people who think that they have their perceived result of where they want to go, when that's just not really the case overall, man. So
yeah, I think one of the biggest ones is people forget that they can change the way they think. I mean, obviously, if you have like a certain philosophy or a belief system, yeah, you can hold on to that, but you can change different aspects of the way you think based off of like talking to different people, and those people may or may not have a different viewpoint. Like it used to be in college, you would just like have your viewpoint, and you would try to debate people as many different viewpoints as possible. I mean, I know it's the total opposite now, but that used to be welcome in college, and that would either help you either re-solidify your stance or change the way you think, which is also a very powerful thing.
yeah, yeah, I agree, man.
Yeah, I
So
wanted to ask you, MOT, how
yeah,
long have you been working for yourself? Like owning your business, not as a contractor, but actually owning your business.
2012.
Okay.
2012, December 2011. Yeah, 2012.
And how long did you spend as an employee before you made the jump to, I guess, did you go from being an employee to a contractor to own your own, or did you go straight from an employee to a business owner?
Nah, man. I had to go through the actual steps because I didn't know what I was doing. So I went like 2 years. I was an employee 2 years. Then I went be an owner operator. Well, no, I worked for an owner operator for uh, I think 6 months, and I was so pissed off with that experience. That's what made me want to be a business owner.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Was it just
yeah.
how he ran his company, or?
No, it's that all right. So I was moving to a different situation, and he put me through a whole bunch of stuff and kept like 3 checks in mine.
Yeah,
But
that'll do it.
yeah, yeah. But since I was an 1099 employee, the max that I could get once we went through the court was only a certain amount of money per hour. It's minimum wage for fucking 3 weeks when he owed me like 6 grand.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you had to spend money on actually just going to court too.
Yep. Yep. So I learned from that experience. That's when I jumped into this lease op truck. I saved every dime for 6 months, and I bought my first truck. And then I saved my money for the 2 years. and then I bought a fleet, and then I started doing fleet shit. So that was what 2.5 years after that shit.
Now, do you ever see yourself? Because I know you buy your trucks right now, and I was on my Facebook, and a girl I went to college with, I think her granddad is in the trucking business, and she just posted that new year, new trucks. So I took it that I guess there are some companies that actually lease trucks yearly. I'm assuming the business model being after a certain point, it makes more sense to just lease and not have to deal with the maintenance repairs, and that's cheaper.
No, no, leasing. They lease you a truck, and you just pay, and you just get paid 1099 employee wages. That's all it is. Your check look bigger, but at the end of the year, you still go get. Well, me, I was smart enough that when I was a lease op, I would only allow them to hire me as a corporation, so that way I can write off all of my expenses, rent included.
Nice.
But being at 1099, people don't know what they're doing. They go with this sole proprietor LP nonsense when it just should be a full-on corporation, so that way you can get the full benefits of being a corporation. And that's what kind of helped me out, because everything that I've done, and I've had to pay minimal taxes every year. Like, I pay minimal taxes now. It's just that whatever is going to be a large tax bill, I just write myself in an actual salary at the end of the year, so that way I could be able to even further lower the actual tax burden. So,
Yeah, that's where I think a lot of people miss out is when you own your own business. That's where you really make up for that income and instability that you may get with a job is the tax write-offs you can get.
yeah, because a lot of people just don't get that. Hey man, these corporations are lying about how much taxes they paying. They're lying about that shit. They are. And a lot of people just don't get, oh, you got the lowest tax. Then why are you still here? Like, it's like, since most people don't know that, like, yeah, you could change the tax structure to which you operate. You can. And when you don't like it, you go to these small ass towns who give you, or states that give you 10 years of not paying any taxes. So it's like, these people don't realize how this stuff actually works because they're so used to being lied to, right? And it's like, I could just tell people one thing, but they could do whatever they want to. I'm telling you, man, like, once you start having that time equity to actually think about getting into stuff, because the more you move up, oh, you're gonna meet a lot of bullshitters. Oh, you're gonna meet a lot of people who are like high middle class check to check people.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
talking about big house, like
yep,
big house, big car, big bills, and they probably ain't got but $200 or $300 a
yes,
paycheck
Yeah.
to save and to manage and to invest or to
yeah,
do anything with. It's
yeah.
crazy.
I'll never forget MOT when I was talking to a coworker. He was saying he had a friend that made $150,000 and his wife was a nurse and she made like 70. So, they making probably about 210 household income. And I'll never forget him telling me they were $30,000 in credit card debt.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell? He was like, yeah. I was like, that's crazy. But it's just if you don't learn how to manage your money from the beginning, just getting more is just throwing gas on the fire.
This is why I say when people reach that, oh, I make six figure shit, like, bro, listen, you need to be trying to turn that shit into a 1099 situation. Because I showed a person on paper that he was a $65,000 dude, even at making six figures. I'm like, bro, listen, you throwing all this shit away. You can go to these people, like, look, if they'll pay you six figures as your first and last name, they'll definitely pay you that shit as a corporation attached to their corporation. And look, I showed him through insurance, even if he bought it on the open market, how much money he would be saving. I'm like, dude, this whole $1,700 a week shit, dude, that's nothing. You should be at way higher than that. And especially with your actual expenditures, your car, everything. I'm like, dude, listen, you're throwing a lot of money away. And I just showed them on paper. This is what six figures is as a W 2. This is what six figures is as a 1099 corporation, quote unquote, for services attached to this actual environment thing. This dude was like, damn, I'm missing out on $1,000 a week. Yes, you're missing out on $1,000 a week. The Social Security and Medicare shit. Dude, they hitting your ass over the head, man. Over the head. Over the head. This is why I'm like, dude, listen. A business owner is nothing but a highly effective employee plus HR. And now they have all type of HR apps that make all that shit super simple for you to do now. So there's really no real excuse now. Especially in transportation, nobody should be working for a company for that long. Unless you're local, then that makes sense. So that way you can be home. But I like being on the road, man. So to me, it's an adventure. Unless now it's snowing outside. But yeah, other than that, the rest of the year, man, is just free and clear. I wanted to take 3 months off, but I came with these vaccines rolling, and it's really not all that. Because I normally never drive this time of the year. My assumption was I'm just gonna skip out on all the weather, but nah, man, it's just not that bad. You know. LOM, man, you're right. They are flossing and flashing and trying to impress the parking lot and all these people that they don't know or don't even have any contact with and all this type of torpor nonsense. And it's like, man, bro, this stuff isn't going to work for you, man. But that's where we at.
And that's not even just our community. That's all of America, society in general.
All of it. So don't think it's just, I'm telling you, everybody is living this high class. And a lot of people started to see that losing some of that housing credit once, them tax cuts hit. Yeah, a lot of people are mad at that shit. A lot of people were.
Yeah. There's a great book out there for people to check out is The Millionaire Mind. It kind of blows the what can I say? It kind of blows the facade off of, what people are rich, what their lifestyle looks like. Like he threw out a stat that said, your average millionaire has never spent more. Now, granted, this book is a little bit old. I think it came out in the late 90s, but has never spent more than, I think, $40,000 on a car.
I've never spent that kind of money on a car. I mean, I've only owned 2 cars ever in my life. 2 cars.
Yeah.
I used to own a 1996 Honda Civic before it got stolen a couple of years ago, and I bought an older BMW. That's it. I'm not buying them more cars for no reason.
Yeah. No, that they were, that's an example. They gave an example of, the neighborhoods and zip codes even in the book, because he basically pointed out that a lot of people who have money like that, he lays out the difference between being basically balance sheet affluent and income statement affluent. Balance sheet. Yeah, balance sheet meaning you have assets. Income statement just meaning you got a bunch of income coming in, and you got a bunch of expenses going out.
Yeah, I did a Patreon post. It was one of my first Patreon posts about how much net worth is bullshit. How much net worth is the actual idea of net worth is complete bullshit. Because no one is going to up and spend or sell all their shit at the same time, and it's like it's all just made up shit. You don't know the value of the shit because you're not selling it and you're not trying to get rid of it. You can only make an estimation, and it's
not to mention liquidity.
Yeah.
Like when you start talking about net worth and you start talking about a house, like a house is an illiquid asset. So at best, what you talking about a line of credit that you can pull on, but at the end of the day, cash is king. What can you really go and touch?
Yeah, like I know a dude. He quote unquote is worth $10 million. This dude has no access to anything greater than $100,000 in cash, but you're worth $10 million. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and it's like all the stuff that you're valuing at $10 million. If you got to sell that in a hurry to raise money, you're probably not gonna get market value.
Hell no. Dude, listen. Anything that's a fire sale, you're not about to get no market value out of that shit. Market value takes a while, 2, 3 years. You're trying to get that market value for a house, man, you ain't gonna get that shit. You'll probably get 70 to 80% of well, that's before now. But yeah, that's what it is, man. Everybody's doing that type of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and he was just pointing out in the book, when you start looking at some of these neighborhood, he even broke it down by neighborhood. Like I'm sure in Denver, where people who, like you said, people who really have money, old money. I'm sure where they live because it's
Oh
like
yeah,
that in
yeah,
almost every city.
yeah.
And then you got people who have the appearance of it, and that's what he was pointing out is that when you look at some of these new suburban neighborhoods, that's where you're going to see a lot of that pretend or look alike affluence versus when you start looking at these older neighborhoods, that's where you're going to see more of your uh old money or your real people who really had the net worth there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great book. I recommend it. It'll change people's mindset because television and social media and all that it's
Could you
giving you.
Google it and or go to Amazon and put the link in the actual chat for it?
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, because I was just going to say the perception that Hollywood has given of people in Instagram, they think these people are going on cruises, private planes, driving, $100,000 cars, and it's just like no, people who are doing that are more than likely going to end up broke or they're leasing a bunch of that stuff.
Listen, man, if I want the supercar experience, I go to Vegas. There's a place right by the Speedway. You can rent any car of any year, and there's a whole bunch of them out there. You can take that shit around the laps on the track, man. There's no need to own no shit like that. No need. Unless you want to be seen, then you're seen, and then you get your ass followed home, then mess around, get your ass. Like, yeah. I know a guy who bought one of the supercars and pretty much messed up his entire life because he had that car in his life. Just the car. Yeah, crazy.
I just dropped the link to it in the book in Amazon in the chat. Yeah, that's the other thing you learned around when you where I work with a lot of the executives, and that's the other thing you learn is how much people value anonymity. Not wanting to have some big fancy car that, like you said, is going to have someone follow me home. Is going to bring attention. A lot of these dudes like to just move in anonymity. The people, the people that need to know how much money they make, what they do, they just know.
Yeah.
Having a conversation or just through, moving in certain circles versus, what this guy's pulling up in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say my pops was probably my first example of that in my life. He did pretty good. When I was young though, he was still making investments. So we're always broke. So he was pouring all the money into the investments and everything. But even when he when all those investments started to pay off, and by that time I had become a young adult and joined the military. But he would always be in like some dusty old baseball cap, shoes probably 2-3 years old, jeans probably like 5 years old, a t-shirt. That was like his regular outfit, but it's like he owns some properties and has made some really good investment choices and stuff like that. And he just still wears the same thing he wore when he was broke. It's the same stuff. He always buy old Toyotas too, like to drive.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say I'll never forget. I was reading Richard Williams, Venus and Serena Williams' dad's book, and he was trying to teach him that same lesson of when they were coming up, they would go shop at Goodwill, and he was like, yeah, she's a millionaire, she still shops at Goodwill. Like these things don't have to change just because your income has gone up.
Yeah, man. Like people don't understand, man, that Goodwill in them rich neighborhoods, man. Jordans and all this other shit. Like, all right, man.
Yeah,
Y'all want to go
yeah.
buy all this shit? All right, man. All right, man. Y'all can have all that. I'm telling you, man. There is nothing like most people on my block. All these motherfuckers shop at Walmart. These people ain't got no. I mean, we all live in big ass houses, but it's like all this extravagant shit, man. Like, ain't nobody really jumping out there like that, man. Everybody liked the fact of having the shit under control because most of these people lost their shit during the 2008 crash. Most of the people, yeah, they lost all their shit in 2008 crash.
You're forgetting MOT that some people actually buy a French label. It's called Target.
Yeah,
Target.
yeah, yeah, man. Like, dude, listen, man. All the stuff is made at the same place overseas and on the South Mariana Island. There's really no need to be going overpaying for shit, man. But nice shit is nice shit. But at the end of the day, man, you still have got to understand that a lot of people just haven't made it and they're just faking it, or they want to try to attach themselves to something that's already successful and try to end up pulling that whole situation down, man. It happens a lot. A lot of people just do not understand how much that they can lose, how fast by dealing with the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly fast you can go down that hill.
I was going to say, and especially if you haven't learned that lesson, because I know you were saying MOT earlier in the stream, the higher you go up, the more temptation you're going to face.
Oh yeah.
Truth be told, when you're at the bottom, that's the easy temptation, because in the sense you can see it, and it's a lot easier to spot out of, hey, I know this is going to end horribly. You start talking about getting with the wrong people and making a bad business decision. People who are semi-savvy in what they're doing. That's a lot harder you got to really be aware and really know what you're doing when you're dealing with those type of people that don't always show the obvious signs.
Yeah. One of the things I kind of look for is some sort of consistency, because there's a lot of people that maneuver and adapt, and they might be making pretty good money, like getting some forward progress in their life, and maybe even further along than I am. But if they keep switching things up and moving things around without having any type of consistency, like it's harder for me to trust them.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's why I always talk about the track record. People want to team up. All right, man, not a big deal. Let's go on down to the IRS. Let's see who we're dealing with. Oh man, I ain't filed my taxes. All right, dog. All right, man. Later, man. All right, man. Later, man.
Yeah.
Later, man. Later, man.
Yeah.
All right, then. Because I'm telling you, man, if they would lie on that, they would lie about anything. And most of these people don't care. A lot of people don't realize that they already have it pre-set up that you're gonna be taking losses, man. That oh man, hey, ain't know what's gonna happen. Like, nah, man, you're a professional, and I need a way to get my money back. So I'm gonna be taking this asset and this asset right here because this is the contract that we signed. Yeah, not a big deal. Yeah, I mean, like once you start making people responsible for their actions, or even anywhere near the point of being responsible, if this stuff goes wrong, they get real upset, and that's when you know that you're dealing with somebody that you shouldn't be dealing with because they don't want to be responsible for the outcome, and they have that hustling mindset bullshit going on. And that's something that people just need to make sure that they stop being around because you're a grown ass adult. You shouldn't be needing to be around somebody who had that type of attitude or approach to life. What's going on, Wacky World? Oh, hold on, let me drop the link back in the chat again. Right. Copy link. Yeah, man. But a lot of people, they just don't want to be responsible with stuff. And a lot of people get taken for a lot of money out here and they don't let people know what's going on and what's happening. So they end up. Y'all still hear me?
Your mic went low a little bit. I guess he dropped. You still hear me, Rocky?
Yeah.
Okay, I think he dropped. I think he's going to drop out and come back in.
All
Um,
right.
what area do you work in? Not like you don't have to put. You don't have to put like
Oh
what area?
yeah. No, it's cool. Well, right now, I'm still a couple. I'm still a couple classes, like 2 or 3 classes off of finishing my networking degree. Um,
All right, I'm back. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
yeah.
No, they
Uh,
can't hear.
we can hear you, MOT.
Well, he may have dropped back out.
Oh man.
No, you said you were a couple classes away from your networking degree.
Yeah. I got like 4, maybe 3 classes if I can sub in sociology for psychology. Depends, you know. I mean, it, they both don't really have a lot to do with networking. So, you know, it's like that's my argument for that. So, you know, I'm gonna try to sub it if I can, you know. Uh, but during like I'm working a night job, which is just regular security because like I don't want to think during that job, right? And then my day job is a freelance field technician, like through apps on the phone. Like they have a lot of temp apps for you know, like you can work freelance depending on what cities you live in. And I live in Seattle, so there's a lot of work for field technicians, whether it's running like everything from internet to fiber optic cable to just fixing like a kiosk or replacing a monitor. And a lot of times when they post on those apps, it's usually because they need the thing fixed like within 3 to 5 days or less. So they're willing to pay more. And I can also kind of schedule my day around my classes. So
Okay.
Oh man, that's what's up, man. That's what's up.
yeah.
I used to do
Um,
that back in the day when Field Nation had started
oh
and
yeah, you know
First
what I'm
Market
talking
started.
about, MOT.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. Both of those are ones that I use quite often. So, and then of course, you know, every once in a while, there's like other apps that will have a job that pops up that's not on either of those. So,
Yep. That's why I say,
yeah,
man, skills is gonna take you there today.
yeah, yeah. And it's like even with that, it's like I feel like I have a lot more advantages over other people because I mean people could fix this stuff. This is very basic stuff. I mean, like migrating Windows 10 to a bunch of machines, you
Oh yeah.
know, or like running cable is like you know, like they pay premium if you run cable, especially fiber optic, but it's not really that hard though, you
Nah,
know?
it ain't. Nah,
Yeah,
it's not really. So yeah, but
yeah,
it's just that yeah, man. Like that's what kept me. The second time I was in a problem like that, that's what kept me up was that work market and field nation shit. Yeah, man. Yep.
yep.
Now, Rocky, I'm assuming, did you get your background just from like teaching yourself, or you just using the what you've learned from school, or like you get training in the military to get you to that point to be able to work on, like you said, what you said, Field Nation, and what was the other one?
Work market.
Work
Work
market,
Market.
yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I was in the military, I was doing logistics, and I actually have had some pretty decent job offers in logistics. It's just I want to get to a certain point with my degree before I go and pursue something like that. But with Field Nation and Work Market, I just found somebody that was doing the field technician stuff, you know, and even if even if someone didn't know anyone in the field technician field, they could probably find somebody online or even on Craigslist, like and just apprentice under them. You know, like there were some times where I wasn't getting paid for certain jobs because like the person I was apprenticing under couldn't fit in an apprentice, and then obviously most of the time he could find a space for apprentice in the job because he's bidding on a ticket. So, he just say, well, I'd like to bring in my own apprentice to help me finish the job, because a lot of times, like you don't need a degree to be a field technician. And a lot of times if they go with a cheaper but untested technician, they usually get trashed. So it was easy for my coworker and friend to bring me in and teach me some of the field technician stuff. I've only really been doing it for like maybe like a year and a half, but I was mostly an assist. Now I'm kind of like rebuilding my profile because I didn't have a main profile because pre-Rona we were making money kind of hand over fist. So I didn't need a profile. So now I'm kind of just rebuilding it from scratch. I have a certain amount of, skills that I can do now because of like what he taught me. And also like if I need any references, he can also, like I can call him anytime. And usually most jobs, they usually send the manual when you get the job, or at least like the basic mechanics of the item that you will need to fix, So, and there's like a lot of level 1 tech jobs on there too.
Yeah, what's going on, LOM? What's going on, man? You there? Y'all hear me?
Nah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
LOM's muted, so I don't know if he stepped away or.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Oh, go ahead, Rocky.
Oh no, that was it. I was just answering that question. Is there any other stuff? Yeah.
No, I mean, we're gonna wait for LM to come on here, then I'm gonna be able to get up out of here. So let's see what's going on. All right. All right, so they'll come on in a couple minutes. Gonna get up out of here. Yeah, man. So just for the most part, you have to understand that the higher you go up, you're gonna have to say the word no a lot. And if you ain't got this discipline thing down and under control at this point right here, you have no idea what you're gonna be running into the moment you start moving up, man. And we got to start having this conversation around what happens when you stay the hell away from this stuff and you actually get your stuff together route. Because I think that's a missing part majorly of what's happening in the manosphere, because they get around people and you're dealing with people who got 20 years of experience at being 20 years old and being a cool uncle and stuff, which isn't really all that practical in today's world. And you know how it is, man, So I just want to be like, look, man, having your stuff together is also fashionable. Very fashionable. And you have more choices and options like that. I know people who have moved out of the country after having a remote job. Yeah. Remote IT job, and man, they moved out the country. There they are at an internet cafe in Philippines or Costa Rica, and they're just chilling out, man.
Those what do you call them, resorts? Those digital nomad resorts and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that goes back to all the opportunities that are now open to Black men. If you have the right skills, if you don't like dealing with America and the BS you got to deal with, you just gave an example right there. Virtual job, move out of the country, or go find a job in another country. It's truly global now. It's easier to move across borders than it's ever been, and I think it's only going to get easier because of commerce.
Yeah, and you got to realize that the people who are stuck also want you to be stuck too. So, man, don't let them dudes talk you into staying in the bad circumstances. Because remember, their life is defined by these bad choices and options. Yours ain't got to be.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a female equivalent of like those Facebook groups where they be circulating that bad information, and it's like even the people that are doing better than them, they end up dragging them down because it's all bad information, and then
and they know it's bad information. It's just like how you never should trust anybody who's trying to leverage unfeminine women especially in a market like this, because there's not a job for that anywhere else. There isn't. I mean, because if it's a bad decision, you can just stay away from bad decisions. So you don't need to go repeat the same bad decisions over and over again.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of people don't understand that you're chasing information that is untested.
Yeah, I think MOT, I think you called it manufactured something. I forget. Sorry.
Manufactured fuckery or something.
Yeah. That's what you called it.
Self-manufactured fuckery.
Yeah. Just put it in the recycle bin and it just keeps recycling over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, so that's just what we at with this, man, because a lot of people is going to be, they don't realize, man, these companies are already trying to figure out ways of how to do stuff cheaper with all this productivity that they got. And a lot of people is about to lose that job, man. So got to do a stream on that probably week after next about what to happen once you get the big chop or before you get it. So you got to be chasing those skills and abilities and being able to move to the money. So that's why I messed up that my first time is I wanted to stay in the Denver metro area, and I ended up losing everything anyway. So all the stuff that I thought that I was going to dodge doing, I ended up having to do anyway. I could always came back to Denver at any time I wanted, but if you've been out there for a while, and
Oh man, but I got so many stories about when I missed the opportunity because I was going in the wrong direction. Oh man, I missed a DOD contractor job when I just got out of the military because the email went to the trash file. Now, granted, I should have been looking at all the emails, but it went to the trash file and it was like a straight up offer to start working. So.
Oh man. Oh.
Yeah.
Those things are kind of guaranteed for as long as they're holding the contract. And even if they're losing the contract, the new person taking over on the contract, they never really fire any of the people who are there.
Yep, unless you like really mess up, and we're talking like, I don't know, it would have to be something colossal,
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, especially for a government job contract. Because
Yeah, and luckily I have some friends that are still working contract work, so I have opportunities with that. But I got to finish up my degree, so or at least my 2-year, So.
Yeah.
Yeah. MOT, you said you didn't want to leave Denver.
Yeah. I mean, at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, in that sense, I was going to say part of it too is, I mean, Denver, I could see that making sense, and also in the sense that, Denver's a city that's been experiencing a lot of growth. Where, if you fall down, I'm sure there's a lot more, opportunities and resources to pick yourself back up versus some of these places where it may not be that. Because it's really only a select probably 20, 25 cities that are just really booming like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're talking about take care of my mom for a year, not been in a project management game for a year, and I just started getting passed over, a lot. When I should have just moved to a smaller city, I could have probably moved to Cheyenne, Wyoming, probably did great. Omaha, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, Albuquerque, New Mexico, probably would have been fine, or Vegas. I was just hell bent on staying there until I lost everything. So you got to move to the money, man.
Very true.
Yeah.
Were you just looking for somewhere in that area, or you just really like that area of the country that you're in right now? Not just Denver, but I know you were saying like Wyoming, like Cheyenne, Wyoming, or New Mexico, or Nevada, or something like that. You just like that area now?
I mean, I just wasn't thinking straight. I just thought that this is a bigger city than anywhere else, and I don't need to leave. When my skills was, because as advanced as Denver was, I could have just moved to another state that wasn't advanced, and I could have made the same money. but I wanted to stay in the area kind of where I was, bought a place and all that kind of shit. But yeah, so I made a bad move. It was a bad call, bad, very bad call. Yeah, so yeah, so it's just let people know, man, that you can actually go somewhere else and do the same stuff. You really ain't got to be holding down no city. You don't own none of that stuff. You can always go back. A lot of things. It's just that, when you're out there and everything is out there for you and you've been out there for such a long time. Yeah, man, don't get trapped into that, and actually it helped me out a lot when I moved to like another state. New perspective, especially coming out of that situation. I was doing very well, you know, and it turns out I needed that change of perspective and I need that couple years out of that situation, out of the state, because, and it did very well for me, man. I was shocked that I came out the other side of it a whole hell of a lot better than I thought. So,
oh yeah, no, that's huge. I mean, that's what I see in my business is, if, a lot of people I will see, if they get stuck, they'll just kind of hang out. But the ones that I see that have made it up, if they've been willing to relocate, 2 or 3 times to a different place, and, you never know. I mean, for me, that's been the biggest thing for my career so far is, graduating from college, moving out of state, and then, getting the opportunity to move up here to DC, taking that opportunity. Every time it's just giving me opportunities that, I just sit here and I'm like, wow, if I would have stayed there, I would have missed out on all this. It just every time it's opened the door.
Yeah, it's just like, it's kind of like leaving Mississippi. I didn't know where the hell I was going to land up. I'm in Germany having the time of my life. People are still down there suffering the consequences. I'm like, God damn. Yeah.
Hey, you toured Germany a new one, MOT?
Oh, man. I had fun, man. And it's what I needed at the time. I had better experiences when I needed them.
Oh, yeah.
And I did not try to go back and do the old stuff better, man. I really liked and love that place. And I really like the fact that it's kind of mandated, man. Like you couldn't be going around doing all this clown stuff, man. Wasn't even allowed, dude. Was not even allowed. Very clean. Everybody working. Really no crime, no need for crime. If everybody could go get, they work on. So it was great. I think I was making like $25 an hour at UPS part time outside of, just doing my regular, military. Man, I was having fun over there, man.
Yeah, I've always heard black men in particular always talk about, how much they love Germany. And it's crazy when you look at the history. But, I sent that email out to all y'all, they literally
good for them.
Charge
they always do that. They always do that.
But after you have that history, they've taken it seriously, charging a 95-year-old woman with charges related to the Holocaust. The US wants to let people who, just stormed the Capitol last week go home like it's nothing.
I know. A federal judge trying to let all these dudes go. Crazy stuff, huh? Crazy stuff.
But yeah, I've always heard rave reviews about Germany from specifically guys in the military.
Yeah, man. It was great over there. Great over there. And nobody wants you to be wanted or to feel happy. This is why the people were like, oh, man, you just went over there to a place where they like your ass. Like, yeah, and I liked it. What's the problem with that? Man,
is that supposed to shame somebody?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, where do you find these dudes at, man? It's like, listen, man, you don't need my help restricting yourself to complete garbage, man. You good, man. You good. I'm telling you, man, you got it. You got it, man. It's all yours. Oh, man, you just can't get it, dude. That's not even a selling point for me. That's what you tell yourself, and that's what you tell the people who always need a representative. It's not how everybody thinks or operates, man.
Yep. Man, I went to Oktoberfest 3 times in a row.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. I mean, Yeah, I got there. It was just starting,
Yeah.
man. It was great, man. It was great. I mean, man, like all the free stuff. I mean, man, because they give you like a big ass mug of shit. Like
Yeah. A
you
sign,
yeah.
you
It's
know.
like you have like wine tasting. They give you like this little thimble full of shit that you're supposed to taste. On nah, man. Germany, man, they'll like have a whole nice
Yeah.
stein of this stuff. You
Yeah.
like? I'm like, yeah, man. I guess, yeah. So yeah,
And you're always gonna like the beer that's in it. It doesn't matter what tent it comes from.
because it's free, and free
Yep.
stuff tastes better.
Yep. True. True. Absolutely true.
Yeah, man. Well, any last words, Renaissance, before we get up out of here?
No, great discussion. Like I said, it was a great panel, a lot of wisdom in this, and people just stay focused on your goals, make good decisions, and follow the process, and it'll take care of itself.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. Because like I said, man, I liked it and I enjoyed myself, and I'm just now, man, just kicking back, just thinking about the next move, man. Just think about the next move. Rocky, any last words before we get up out of here?
Yeah, well, I just like to thank you and a lot of the other people that are kind of like in our section of this space because I was for a minute I don't have any problems being alone like loneliness, but sometimes I have that anti-ambition thing where if I just have like the simple things in life, I'm happy. But what that does is that kills my ambition, and then I'm no longer to help able to help out anybody else should they get into trouble. So, and I want to be able to. So, I wanted to thank you and the other people in the space for helping me get back on my feet.
All right, cool, man. No problem, man. I just this is why I do this because I care about outcomes. Outcomes matter more than these BS inputs. Outcomes matter. And once you got this stuff under control, you're not trying to get this stuff back to anyone else for any reason. And it's good to have things together. And it's even better not to be giving it away for frivolous reasons, like people trying to motivate you to do within this environment, which I think is pretty pathetic.
Yeah, we
So,
can't just be out here in these streets giving out respect for free. Shoot.
oh man, oh man, not at all, not at all. So I want to thank everybody for coming through. This is the stream because they never made it. Didn't go in on nobody. I'm just letting people know, man. Once you get to the next level, you're gonna keep running into the same problems. They're just gonna be presenting itself in a different shape, form, and fashion. And if you haven't handled it at the lower level, you're not gonna get it at this level either. I want to thank you guys for coming through. I'm the man tomorrow. Like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a really nice day. Peace. All right, man.